head office of the, in OCD. So I'm actually head of the unit of Islamization within OCD, not the whole OCD.
Oh, okay.
So that's just, yeah,
Uh,
normally I wish to correct that small, info. So other than that, I am happy to be with you today and discuss this important topic. And I am, thankful to CBS as well and the organizing team to invite me to be part of this ongoing discussion on the applications of, the advances of sciences, particularly in the technology and AI, artificial intelligence, and the related ethical implications. So before I start my discussion, I would like to make a number of disclaimers or housekeeping, which is that, number one, I am not expert and professional in, artificial intelligence, and I am not an engineer who works on that, nor I am, specializing in computer science and computer language and databases. My approach to this topic would be mainly the ethical implications. So my discussion today is not someone who is there to explain, how, artificial intelligence works and what are the, the steps or the technical steps that artificial intelligence, consists. But here I came today to address the ethical issues and implications that artificial intelligence may lead to when we, if applied, and there are some also already, practices and applications that are already taking place. Number two, there have been a paper that is being published recently, of course, a lot of papers, but one of my papers that was published recently together with one of the computer science scholars, I share the PDF file, I share with Dr. Azleen, and I hope she can share with the audience. So at least if you have some feedback, because in that paper, we focus it on the ethical implications of artificial intelligence. So basically, I'm mentioning this paper because the area is evolving, the area is developing, the area is new, and we need everyone's input. Not only that, professionals in computer science and engineers have to work, but also we need to see people from social science, people from law, people from religious background to come up and, participate in this ongoing debate about where artificial intelligence is leading us, to where, artificial intelligence is leading us. And as you know, that science is progressing, technology is progressing, there were no doubt. But at the same time, although we like science to develop and technology to progress, but what we are careful about is that, while science and technology is progressing and advancing, we want to see what do you call a benefit or the usage or the what do you call the positive contributions of technology in life rather than negative. So like any other product that we have in our life, we want to see when the human mind designs new technologies, produces new applications, we want to make sure that these new applications are not harming rather than, benefiting and contributing positively to manage and develop our life. That is why we need this combination of, science and the ethical discourse as well. And it's not that only here in IIUM we have this kind of discourse, but this kind of discourse is ongoing actually worldwide. Whether we like it or not, this discourse is already there, right? So our role here is, and my focus will be mainly the from Islamic perspective, because I cannot speak for the conventional perspective, but basically there are crossing lines between or combinations. Sometimes there is a meeting point between the Islamic concerns as well as the what do you call the conventional concerns about the applications of these advances in technology or AI. Even though sometimes when you see, even though the concerns are sometimes more or less contrastable or similar, but there are cases where you notice that when it comes to the judgment and the value establishment, then they will have differences, whereby the conventional ethical discourse appeals to human, values, disregarding the revelational, guidelines. So, other than that, differences generally you can see that, the discourse sometimes is almost, the questions and the concerns that are raised against artificial, intelligence applications are almost similar. So my focus will be mainly from the, religious perspective and Islam, particularly the Islamic point of view. And finally, the point that I want to also raise is that, well, I'm not here giving any fatwa or any, legal verdict or any, conclusive opinion. Rather, I'm here to share some common concerns that need to be addressed by all of us, not only one faculty or one kuliah or one department. This seems to be a job of everyone. Why? Because the implications of AI are actually wider than we are thinking. They are actually affecting healthcare systems. AI is affecting the economy, affecting the social, structure, even the community relations. So it should be, the concern of everyone. Therefore, the discussions that I'm going to share today is actually something that some of you may be aware of, but at least something to, begin with and discuss, among us, more like the, initiating the discourse and moving on. Okay, I will share, if you allow me, Brother Muhammad, I will share some small, how do I say, small PowerPoint slide, if I am allowed. The aim of which is not to explain the point, but it's actually to display the main points of discussion or the debate.
Okay, Prof. So you would share your PowerPoint. Okay, I think
Yeah,
we'll
okay,
set you.
okay. So, well, okay, I will say share. Host disabled participants screen sharing. So I'm unable to share unless you
Hang on,
permit
Prof.
me to do
Yeah.
so.
Yes, we will set
Okay
you
then.
as.
Okay then.
Uh,
Okay then. Okay.
Already, Prof. Can you share your
Yep,
screen
yep,
now?
I'm sharing
Okay.
already. So here we have. And then just to share again one more point, to add one more element, is that my mainly aims for more on like, heart-to-heart discussion, more on like mudarasa, rather than, you know, uh, okay, can you see my slide?
Not yet, actually. I don't know about others.
Okay,
Can you
I
yeah.
already asked to show sharing.
Yeah, you are sharing, but we can't see. So let me check.
Yeah, can you see it? Mm, mm.
How about if you reshare, you share once again, something to do with the internet, I think.
I don't know where the fault is. Something is missing. I am not sure.
You share once again, you exit screen sharing and then you share back. See if it works.
Maybe I will exit sharing.
Yes, Prof. Try out once.
Okay, can you see my...
Yes, already, Prof. You can see it.
Yeah, can be seen, right?
Yes. Yes, Prof.
Okay, so yeah, I think I can move on, right, Brother Muhammad? Okay, if I move on, if we together visualize the applications of AI today, generally, these are among the observable applications. We have AI applications in healthcare system. Brother Muhammad, is it all right? Can I continue?
Yes. Yes, Prof.
Okay. So these are among the applications that we notice, when it comes to AI, when you go for the available literature and applications that are available, these are the applications of AI in healthcare sector, whereby the issues of diagnosing and image are all being, analyzed through and within the, AI applications. And then you have also the AI applications in automobile, whereby nowadays we are talking about auto car, we have airplanes, we have machines, we have robots, yeah, and then we have finance, the applications. Agencies of, security agencies are using for surveillance, for example, many applications of it. Social media is another area where nowadays, the AI applications are used. Entertainment, also among the fields that are using AI. Of course, education. Nowadays, we're using AI applications for education, also on learning. One of them is that we're using now online and webinars, space exploration, gaming, robots, agriculture, and e-economics. These are among the applications that we notice in AI. If we a little bit focus on healthcare, since I'm from the, what do you call, the healthcare campus, these are among the applications that, of AI applications where, it benefits the public, I mean, the healthcare sector. So you have here drug development, medical diagnosis, dosage error reduction, cancer research, personalized healthcare plans, health monitoring and wearables. So again, if you look at also the data and the information available, these are some of the, key drivers for adoption of, potential, what do you call, applications of AI, and this is what they're expecting to make in the future. So, well, I think, as I said in the beginning, I don't have to go deep into the applications of, AI, but let us see the focus of our discussion, which is more on like the ethical applications or the ethical implications of AI. So if we move to that, one of the things that, scholars, or one of the things that, people normally ask is, when a new or something new comes in, one of the things that, comes to mind is how much of, benefits, can be expected from the development of this tool or that, application. So what is the ethical issue? Well, somebody may tell you we are developing, science, we are advancing science, we are producing this automobile, aeroplanes, car, machine, we are moving. Some people even they may tell you, well, very soon, we will have, a short period of traveling, to the space whereby people can take lift, they say, not rather than, shuttles and aeroplanes, and even, lift from the earth to the space. You just touch, which destination you want to go. And then they give you a lot of what you call positive and hopeful potential benefits of AI. But people of social science are asking, wait, how much of these, artificial, intelligence applications are actually violating our ethical norms? Because if something violates the ethical norms, then we have serious issues about it. So one of the, issues that are raised to artificial intelligence or AI applications, generally, whether it's in finance or in healthcare or in economic, and, it doesn't matter which area, one of the issues that raise it is the issue of privacy. Especially training of all AI models require massive amount of data, some of which includes, personal information. There is a, currently there is a little insight into how the data is being collected, processed, stored, which raises concerns about who can access the data and how they can use it. When this information is collected, processed, stored, the information, who has the right to access it? And if someone accesses this huge data that was collected in order to run the AI, who has the right to access and how they will use it, right? Another question that comes to mind is, is surrounding about the use of AI in surveillance, right? Nowadays they use, for surveillance, whether it's for security reasons, whether it's for performance, doesn't matter. And sometimes even the law enforcement, for example, police, the security agencies, they use AI to monitor or maybe track down certain movements of certain suspects, let us say. So one of the issues is, well, how those information that are being collected through surveillance are going to be used, right? In healthcare, for example, we have current laws are not including, the what do you call, the protection of individual healthy data, right? So the clinical data that are being collected by robots can be hacked, right? So the issue here is the privacy is one of the issues that are being raised. When we collect these huge data for AI applications, then this information or this data that is being gathered or collected, then how to protect it? The protection of the information that has been, stored through AI is one of the questions actually raised, right? Because we don't want it to be, misused or abused, and then therefore creates harm rather than benefits, right? Then when systems or data, when data is used and systems are developed or applications are developed, how can we make sure that there is no biasness, the existing biasness, for example, based on gender, age, professional, or racial, biasness that are out there, even though we don't like biasness, how to avoid if the system being developed and designed and the system to some extent functions in a way that is not treating people, with due equality and fairness, then how to avoid this? And what we are dealing with is actually not a human being. What we are dealing in that sense is more on artificial, artificially generated intelligence, not a human intelligence. So if this intelligence is already being designed in this way, based on this line or based on this, existing biasness, unfairness, and therefore it doesn't have the ability to serve or distribute the expected benefits equally, then how to deal with that? That is one of the questions raised. Brother Muhammad, can you hear me?
Yes, Prof. I can hear you.
Okay. Another issue that is raised actually is the issue of security and safety, right? So one of the issues that come with AI is the cybersecurity matters that are very important as well, right? Systems that interact directly with physical world, such as autonomous vehicles and systems governing critical healthcare professions is another issue that is being raised. So you can imagine when this information is gathered, how, the concern and the serious, question is about, the data security in terms of national security, political campaigns, for example, the cyber industry, criminal profiling, social issues, cyber threats, and cyber crimes are among the issues and concerns raised about these, AI applications, which is actually a serious concern for everyone. Another serious issue about, AI application is the economic issue, the what do you call the economic employment and jobs, right? When we produce these, what do you call, robots or machines with these algorithms and computer language, and we ask them to, we program these, machines to serve us. What happens is, yeah, they overtake the human being, right? They're overtaking the human being in gas stations. Nowadays, we already see that, there is a job reduction when it comes to human resources, right? So similarly, go to, let us say, our ports, the aeroplanes, what do you call, healthcare, online, medical. You have a trend where the robots now are overtaking the human being to do certain functions. In one way, people may become excited and say, yeah, that's fine, okay, because now it seems that our knowledge allow us to produce machines and technology that can serve humanity. They can they can be in office, industry, manufacturing, automobiles that are now, driverless, for example. You don't have to drive, you just set the button, and then you go to your office. While you are on the way to your office, you can read your notes, you can read your books, or you can read your whatever you want to read. Why? Because your car knows where to go. Fine. So people may become excited, about these kind of, new development and advances that we have in technology. But the question here is, remember, we are producing, machines that are generating some sort of like, joblessness, or contributing to the human beings to lose their job, right? That means we don't need the human being, right? To some extent, maybe, 30%, 40%, or 50% of our, labor market may fall down, right? So the question is, when we make people jobless, then are we doing something good? That's the question here. When we replace, humanity with machines, is that something plausible? Is it something that we can, feel proud of it? We say, hey, yes, our mind, our thoughts, our knowledge allow us to replace ourselves with machines. Is it something to be proud of when we generate a masses of jobless people because of our knowledge? So this is, again, another serious concern that humanity has. Autonomy, one of the essential elements of human character, is to be autonomous, is actually the idea of always feeling, how do I say, independence or autonomy. It's like, so when we make these robots, ulama said, when we make these robots or these machines or these artificial intelligence applications, and then we apply, what happens if they become independent? To some extent, we already experience it, for example, in car park machines, for example, car parking. We already see that they are autonomous. They make decisions. The machines or the robots are making decisions. So when we empower machines, when we empower robots over, the human being, then it comes with the issue of, now we have a machine or robot, or we have what we call, let us say, a system, put in that way, or app that is independent from human being. They are making decisions with or without us. So is it something to be proud of? That we make a machine that is no longer following, our, what do you call, orders, right? So this is also may pose a threat to a human being, right? In other words, we are passing the pattern of being autonomous. We are passing that pattern to the, what do you call, robots, the machines, all right? So is it something that we can feel proud of? Is it something to be, happy with? No, of course. So the question here is, yes, we want to develop machines, industry, advance, technology, fine. But how can we make sure that this technology will always be within the instructions of a human being, rather than becoming autonomous or independent from the human? There are also issues where, for example, in healthcare sector, let us say, I think that's a good example. You have some kind of like machines that are analyzing certain, substances, maybe drugs, or maybe certain, blood, let us say, or diagnosis, or you want to do some research and you get information or data, and then you analyze, for example, right? So there are certain AI tools. It may come to conclusions, for example, certain conclusions, and then it's very hard to know how these conclusions are made, right? The machine already analyzed it and show you the result. But what happens is if we are unable to understand, or explain at least the background or what led, the machine or the AI to come up with this result. Can we just say, well, regardless of how it analyzes it, this result must be correct, so we use it? What happens if those analyses are something that, because we do not know how the machine did it, it becomes like, okay, here we have this analysis, here we have this outcome, here we have this result or conclusions. Can we say, yeah, this is what the machine shows, and this is what you have, and this is what we know in the field of medicine or healthy care, for example? In other words, what happens if AI shows us analysis or conclusions which is hard for a human being to explain the background or how? Can we trust the machine? That is one of the questions that is faced. Another ethical issue that scholars are asking is that actually when we empower this machine or the robots, when we empower them, the machines, and now they become acting, making decisions, right? The question of accountability appears. Who is accountable for the decisions taken by the machine? The company that is using the machine, or the hospital that is using the machine, or actually the programmer or the developer who have developed the program or the app? This decision has now been taken by this robot, by this machine. But we need to, can we say, oh, can we blame the machine? The machine is not, what do you call, mukallaf, if you want, the Arabic language, more on like the machine. Can we treat the robots as an accountable creatures? Can we blame them? Can we bring them to court if they make a decision? If, let us say, they make a decision and there is an error, machine error, let us say, which may cost someone's life or harm, or may cause a disability, for example. So who is to be blamed? Is it the machine, the one who developed, or actually the company or the hospital that is using the machine? So the issue of accountability is an issue that is raised actually. Who is accountable for the decisions taken by the robots or AI applications, right, or apps? Another issue that is serious is actually when it comes to knowledge production, more like the intellectual property, right, IP. Nowadays, I think the GPT is used, right? In widely used, especially students and learners, right? Educators are using it to generate some sort of like content, right? For given articles or papers and so forth, right? Even nowadays, for those who are, editors or chief editors, normally we ask, right? We ask the authors, how many of your paper or content is being produced by ChatGPT, right? Or how much it influenced your writing, right? So since we are using this AI, artificial intelligence, to produce, knowledge or information, the question that, that has been recently, raised is the issue of copyright and exploitation of intellectual property is another example, whereby if you have noticed it, the news, there have been cases where, certain people, they make a lawsuit against certain writers for exploiting, or abusing or taking their writings or their papers, right, through the ChatGPT. So the ChatGPT is no longer, nowadays they say, safe from, plagiarism, according to that article which I was reading recently. Why? Because the one who made the lawsuit claims that someone, the one he made the case against, he says that he used my article, according to him, yeah, the one who made the case. And it comes that the one who have used the article or plagiarized actually have used this technology. And this technology exploited the writing of that writer. And the new writer thought that this is just an information that is artificial intelligence helping him to write, without knowing, or knowingly or unknowingly, I'm not sure, I didn't follow up the case, knowingly or unknowingly, that this technology is now exploiting someone's intellectual property, and therefore it became an issue, right? Loss of human connection. Nowadays, the use of robots, let us say the use of chatbots, are creating some sort of like, an area, or a concern is about a loss or lack of social connection and empathy, and in other words, the more we use artificial intelligence, the more we equip, the robots and machines with, apps and applications whereby they mimic or they simulate, some sort of like interaction, between man and machine, or man and robot. We are reducing, that is going to increase on the expenses of human connection, social connections, because human beings by nature are social, right? So there is a risk there. And there are reports that I have read, the literature on this topic. The literature shows that, producing more robots, which looks like a human being talking to you, and using the handphones, the smartphones, are now increasing the level of, how do I say, solitary or loneliness. People are now adopting to the culture of not interacting with the social environment. They want more like interacting with machines rather than a human being, right? So the young generation, if you notice, according to the writing that I have seen, the young generations are exhibiting or showing signs of, or how do I say, characters, or they are manifesting some sort of like, they are not happy, or they are not comfortable with human relations when it comes to dialogues, discussions, arguments, for example, defending your position. These are part of the human nature, right? Sharing your thoughts, right? But the young generation, because of the AI, because of the machines, because of the robots, because of the smartphones and handphones and the websites that we are, using now, the young generations are showing some sort of like feeling comfortable, to deal with the, what do you call, the machines rather than the human being, which is actually sooner or later is going to be a problematic for society, right? because human beings are by nature social, and you need to be part of the social interaction, right? Communications, talking, sharing thoughts, sometimes like, empathy, kindness, taking care. It's part of the well-being, right? The mental health, right? Otherwise, we develop this kind of like, isolation from the rest of the. So these are among issues. So yeah, it's a real issue also. It's a real issue. The loss of human connection is a real issue, right? So these are among the ethical concerns raised towards or against the advances of AI. So my conclusion is this, because my topic was just to, my aim was just to start the discussion, to take off, to initiate the discussion. The point that I want to repeat and conclude with is that, well, everyone is excited to see the advances of AI and its applications in life, in automobile, in transportations, in communications. Well, probably you can say in healthcare. Everyone is, people are not actually cursing. People are not saying, this is something that this has to stop. But, well, while we are all excited about the human, capacity to produce these kind of applications and advances, which seem to be the case to advance further in the future. But in the meantime, there are serious concerns about the social, ethical implications of AI, which need to be discussed actually. And I have seen that now. I was recently, in the States, for research trip. I have noticed it when I attended these conferences and, intellectual discussions there in the States. And of course, and I'm sure it's elsewhere in the world. Now the trend is towards, addressing this issue from religious perspective, from ethical perspective, from legal perspective, from healthcare perspective, because whether we like it or not, AI is becoming reality. And the centers of academia has the responsibility to do academic research to see, where the, AI is leading us. Are we moving towards a healthy territory, health and useful and beneficial territory, or there are risks involved? Thank you very much. That's what I wanted to share today.
Thank you very much, Prof, for the sharing of your insights. So we've been hearing about the effects of AI that basically wider than we think of. All right. And basically the time is now at 3:11 p.m., which means that we do have some times here. And we would like to open for Q&A session. All right. So participants, you may ask Prof about concerns that you have. You may turn on your microphone, or you may put or post your questions on the chat box, please. We're waiting for that.
Or maybe you can say additional info, not only questions, but additional info. Because as I said, this is an ongoing topic. It's a very dynamic subject. And it's a subject that touches, all aspects. But I think for the student, one thing that I like to reiterate and repeat again is that when it comes to a student, well, nowadays people are talking about the program I mentioned just now, Chat GPT, right? So some students are turning, to that program to produce papers, or work on their articles. I think while that program may be useful, but as a student, in my advice, as a student, you avoid for now. Maybe later on you can use it, but for now you avoid it. Why? Because I think as a student, nothing can substitute your talent. Trust yourself, depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and use your talent, because that is what counts after all, in your record, right, as a student. And human talent so far, well, we always talk about, I'm already talking about it. I'm talking about it. ChatGPT, right? So without asking, I already have my concerns about it. Because I have noticed that some students, well, nowadays we don't need to write articles yeah, we just identify the area and then we put the ChatGPT, the JBT, you know? So in a sense, actually, that means you are passing the pattern to a machine or app, you know, rather than developing your talent. So it always reminds me, I'll share with you this one as a student. I always reminds me that the ulama, in the history, our ulama, normally they mention the point of al-ilmu ma fi suduri wa laysa ma fi sutur, they say. Right? And then also they say that some of them also use this word, al-ilmu. I'll just show off my Arabic. Sorry, I was speaking in English, now I moved to Arabic. Al-ilmu ma fi suduri wa ma fi sutur, right? Both of them. So some ulama, they use both. Some ulama, they use one. If I may explain that one, basically what they mean is knowledge, your knowledge is what is in your mind and heart, right? In other words, the true knowledge that you can claim is the knowledge that you internalize. That's what they want to say, right? And I relate this one. Sister was asking the JBT, right? It's like I may narrate this story. Imam al-Ghazali, rahmatullahi alayhi, once mentioned that he said that he was with his sheikh. Long story short, he was a student when he was a student, and he was with his sheikh for 4 years. I think those, you know, someone I can't remember now. So he was with his sheikh for 4 years. So in that 4 years, he was taking note. Whatever that his sheikh said, he take note. You know, previously the ulama, they don't have computers to type. They don't have laptops. They don't have whatever that your sheikh says, you take note, right? So they use, even the ulama use dictations because the knowledge was in their mind. So they dictate. So we just talaqi, right? So for Imam al-Ghazali, he was there 4 years with his sheikh, taking notes, so that you can imagine a note of 4 years become like bundles of books, right? So when Imam al-Ghazali realized that he take enough note for 4 years, now he took his bundles of notebooks to go back to his town to sit down and analyze these notes and synchronize and make a knowledge, right? He designed, because now he thought that, mashallah, he collected a lot of data, right? On the way to his town, when he left from his sheikh, while his book was there, he followed one of the caravan there from the place of the sheikh to his town. While the caravan was moving on the way, there were some, how do I say, you know, thieves in the road. You know, they call quta'u turuq. Thieves, right? So what the thieves did, they stopped them and they took all their belongings. The caravan, you know, a group of people, you can imagine, with a bunch of camels, you know, right? You know, with all these, you know, at that time there was no car, no airplane. So they took all their belongings, including the books of Imam al-Ghazali. So Imam al-Ghazali said, he is narrating the story. Imam al-Ghazali said, oh, he spoke to the leader of the thieves, the gangs. He said, oh, you know, in that caravan, in that camel, my ilm is there. You see, my ilm is there. My knowledge is there. In other words, the belongings that you took, you guys thieves, please be kind to me and give me the books. Take the rest. You know, give me the books because that is my knowledge. So Imam al-Ghazali now, he is not worried about money. He is not worried about anything else except the 4 years of taking note, right? This is his note, 4 years. So he knows that if he loses that 4 years note, that means no more knowledge because all his knowledge is here. So the leader of the thieves who have stopped in the middle of the road, laughed at him. He laughed at Imam al-Ghazali. He said, oh, how come is your knowledge Your knowledge is what you have in mind, not what you have in the book. You can imagine. The thief now, the leader of the thief has the wisdom, even though he is a thief, right? He's a pirate. But still he has a wisdom. He said, oh, what's wrong with you, old man? He doesn't know Ghazali. He doesn't know the book. He doesn't know his Sheikh. But he, in his, common sense, he says, how come is your knowledge if it is in the book, not in the mind? Supposedly your knowledge is what you have in mind. So Imam al-Ghazali said, well-known story, he said, هذا رجل أنطقه الله, he said. You see, Imam al-Ghazali picked up that word. He said, this is a man whom God made him to speak the wisdom. رجل أنطقه الله. Even though he is a thief, a pirate, but still he spoke the wisdom, which is, your knowledge is what you have in mind, not what you have in the books. The knowledge in the book, you know what, is a product of your mind. But nowadays, we have a problem, right? We depend, whatever information we got, we take in the book or in the handphone, or we save the information in the computer or on the smartphones, right? Nowadays, if we attend a talk, rather than taking lessons and recording in mind, we record in the smartphone. But the problem is, the moment you lost the smartphone, the moment you lose your thumb drive, the moment you lose your book, the moment you're far away from your computer, that knowledge doesn't belong to you anymore. And when the knowledge is not in your mind, basically it doesn't belong to you. So even though I am not downgrading ChatGPT and its functions to help and assist, but my advice to you is develop your talent of writing. Because when you develop the talent of writing, analyzing, evaluating, that is truly the knowledge that you have. ChatGPT will make you what? Dependent on it, and they will, you will always be dependent on them, and you will not use the talents that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you. So as a student, this is my advice. I'll give you hard advice. Avoid ChatGPT at all. Maybe later on when you graduate, yeah, for the sake of pleasure, for the sake of, fun, for the sake of extra reading, yeah. But now, as a student, develop your talent, develop your knowledge, in other words, trust yourself. Of course, we depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa tawakkal ala Allah, but be yourself. I remember my supervisor, PhD supervisor, that is the word she used to tell me always. I remember her, mashallah. Razak, be yourself. Always in your analysis, in your evaluation, at that time, when I was doing my PhD, there was no ChatGPT at that time. But still, our ulama, they have that advice, be yourself. In other words, don't be someone else. You can only be yourself. In other words, don't be muqallid in your analysis, in your research, in your data collection, in your interaction with your lecturer, in taking note. Be yourself. So that is my advice to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much for the very, I would say, great insight sharing. And you gave examples about Imam al-Ghazali. And also you are encouraging for us to not to be over-dependent with ChatGPT and actually trust ourselves and be ourselves, yes?
True. That's right.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Now, I am seeing one question here, I think, or not really a question. I think it's additional information, as you encouraged participants to have additional information. So do you mind me to read it?
Yep, that would be good, inshallah, please.
So from Rosaini, students need constant assistance and access to the source of knowledge to develop their potential and understand ideas or concepts, etc. In the old days, students and scholars have very close relationship and usually live under the same roof throughout the student study period. Right. The present system of tarbiyah, it's unlike that. Well, ChatGPT and the like are ever ready to assist students or anyone. AI should be regarded as a mere tool like computers, internet, Google, etc. I believe it is all right to use AI as a tool for a good purpose or cause. So,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I like, mashallah, mashallah, Rosaini, mashallah. That's very good point. I absolutely agree with Rosaini on the point that, AI, Google, etc., whatever in the internet, available resources that we have, we utilize. I agree with that 100%, right? But the issue that we need to have in mind, that's why in the beginning, as I said, ChatGPT is useful. And, I don't advise students to use, but in the beginning, I said the same. But the point that comes to mind is, which I think Rosaini's point raised it is, she said that in the previous, area, what do you call times, students and scholars were closely connected, right? If I correctly remember that word, right? They were close. But today, the learning environment is quite different, right? But very ironic, right? Although I agree with that statement with Rosaini, but let us think about it. Let us think about it. It's very ironic because should don't we create, computers and internet to connect us? Don't we have internet to make us close? In other words, the more our information communication technology grows up, the more we are apart, right? We are no longer close. Is that what is happening? Is that what we want to suggest? Imagine at the time of Imam al-Ghazali, at the time of other scholars, there was no internet, there was no handphone, there was no all this technology, right? But they were close. The sheikh and the students were close, and the communication was direct, right? But today, with all this technology that we have, our communications are not close. Very interesting, right? So, although on one hand, I agree, using the available resources that we have, internet, Google's, YouTube, these are all available resources which previous ulama and previous students don't have. But at the same time, nothing is alternative or nothing is substitute to developing your own talent. Always put in that way. What we are developing is not just JBT. What we are developing here in academia is your talent as a student. Always put in that mind. In other words, the idea that I don't need, for example, nowadays to memorize the Quran, for example. Why? Because the Quran is available on our website. The Quran is available in my hand phone, for example. I don't need to spend time on calculations. Why? Because I have a calculator, right? I don't need to do that. Idea is actually something that we need to think about. I am not haramizing it. I'm not criticizing it, but it shows that we are minimizing the human role, in developing knowledge, technology, managing life. And to be honest, nothing is more useful than developing the human talent. Yeah, we develop machines and technology, but still remember, technology and machines are the products of human talent. So always focus on human talent rather than machines. And yeah, machines are, as you said, tools to support, but they support what? Your talent. So your talent is always the focus. Okay, so any comment so far? Any additional info?
I think that's all for now, but Sister Rosaini then added some more, I think, comments.
Mm.
We may read it.
Okay, please read it.
Yeah, it must be the educational system and demands of university administration that perhaps prevent that intimate relationship between students and scholars. Scholars perhaps are busy with other functions rather than just teaching, right?
Mm. Yeah, scholars Bilhab is busy with other functions rather than just teaching. I agree with that as well, because I think this is one of the issues that we can raise to the authority of our higher learning institutions, right? Whether we are talking about this university or other universities, because nowadays I agree with the point she's raising, that you know there are cases where our professors and teachers are busy with other duties, other functions, let us say admin, or maybe more on like business, or maybe they are not fully committed to the, what do you call, the education. So that may, minimize, the interaction between students and the teachers, right? At the same time, something that is open for discussion is how to increase, as our sister said, the intimate, what do you say, the close relationship between students and teachers. Because nowadays, when we cannot hide, when somebody becomes a lecturer or staff, or how do I say, or professor or whatever, associate or assistant or lecturer, it comes with authority, right? And that authority sometimes, makes students and teachers quite, not close, in other words, more on like when the lecturer uses more like commanding and instructional language, of telling what to do, sometimes also warning students and provoking even sometimes. Yeah, students, because we're living, as we said, in the world of internet and IT, they will say, well, this lecturer is so provocative, I don't need to see him again and again, I don't need to be close to him. They may turn to, computer science, YouTube, Google's, some other sources, right? And that may loosen, may create a gap between students and teachers. Because of other comments, also that gap may be there. So I agree with the idea that says that how can we have a close connection between students and lecturers? But this is an open question. I think, educationists can involve, administrations of universities can involve, but we need that connection to be there, inshallah.
All right, Prof. Thank you very much for the comments and remarks. Right. And so it's already time for us to end. So we may end here. And before we end, I would like to say that thank you very much for Prof, for your insightful sharing. You have examples also, and that should be very beneficial for us. Thank you, Prof.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, and as for the participants, thank you very much for the participation's focus. Okay, and now I would like to announce two things first before we end. Firstly, there is this link given by Madam Nurul Farita, if you guys can see it on the chat box. So that is actually the evaluation link, but please fill it because it is actually also serving as the attendance link. So as you fill in that, your attendance will be recorded that way. Okay, so once again, don't forget to fill up that. And the second thing I would like to announce is that, one second. Okay, so I would like to inform that on January 14th, 2024, we will have another webinar of this series. The speaker will be Professor Tan Sri Dr. Teddy Surya Gunawan. He is a professor from Kuliah of Engineering, IIUM. And the topic of the webinar will be still related to AI, but this time the topic is generative AI. Okay, so that is my second announcement. Everyone is encouraged to attend the webinar. Thank you. Sorry, it's not 14th of January, it's 18th. I'm really sorry. Let me write it on the chat box. 18th of January 2024 for generative AI. Okay. So once again, don't forget to fill in the form that has been given. Okay. And with that, thank you very much, everyone. We shall close here. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.